And welcome to our third episode of Host the Pro, where disruptive influencers talk about e-commerce marketing. Today we have Neal Schaffer with us. We're going to speak about influencer marketing for e-commerce. Hey, Neal.
Hey, Rakefet, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Just chilling in sunny Southern California. No complaints.
Amazing. Here it's evening already in Tel Aviv, so it's a dark view over there. So not a lot of you know Neal Schaffer first. Is a keynote speaker. He's an author of more than 4 books talking about sales and marketing. Recently published The Age of Influence regarding influencer marketing for brands out there. And not a lot of you know, he also speaks, here it is. He also speaks fluent Japanese and Mandarin.
And there was a time when I spoke Hebrew when I was younger, but yeah, I've lost it all. My apologies, but long story.
我的汉语不太好，但是
你的汉语很好，很好，非常好。
So what's your Chinese name?
夏莲.
夏莲, oh.
Yeah, and what about yourself?
我是荣飞.
荣飞. So what's interesting about Chinese is that you're given a name and it's usually last name comes before first name. So Schaffer is they, the teacher, it's usually your Chinese teacher who gives you these names, right? Not like your parent. So, Schaffer, Sha, right? And then Neal, if he was this, he originally said, Neal, if I gave you a first name that sounded like Neal, it would sound like Sha Niao. And I don't know if you know what that means in Chinese, but it basically means to go to urinate, right? So he said, probably not a good name. So I think he took the reverse of Neal and made it Lian, like in reverse. So yeah, it's a interesting story. What you have a story about your name?
I can't, fully remember right now. my Chinese is not as good as yours, but it has to do with rain and plants, some kind of combination over there. And my Hebrew name is Rakefet, which is a flower that actually grows in winter. So it kind of relates from the meaning point of view.
Nice.
So influencer marketing for e-commerce, I think, every brand we speak with today that is running an e-commerce brand is kind of debating on that. I mean, the kind of the default is to start with, okay, I'm starting my campaigns, I'm starting with paid advertising, email marketing, improving my conversion rate on the website. Those would be the main activities they run. And then influencer marketing is kind of, okay, where do I put that in? Obviously, it's helpful, but do I do it before I run ads, after I run ads? What's the right timing? How do I go about it?
Well, I think that for e-commerce marketing, there are several things you need to do, right? So there's an SEO side to things. There is a email marketing side of things that you can leverage. And I have e-commerce clients myself that leverage these things and actually get, we can track the revenue that comes from organic search, the revenue that comes from email marketing, including like loyalty programs you can set up over time. And then you have this big pot of paid media, right? Obviously, there's some organic as well, but e-commerce brands, know that organic social media is very, very challenging, and it's almost impossible to really get ROI from it. The algorithms are just skewed towards people, right? So the knee-jerk reaction is we're just going to spend a ton in ads, and ads are great, but ads are paid media. So I look back and Rakefet, I don't know if you remember, but when Facebook was really viral, this is back in like 2012 and 13, and brands were, they were getting incredible edge rank or organic reach for every single Facebook post. The whole idea about social media is viral word of mouth, right? So your ads do not get viral word of mouth. It's an ad campaign. When it's on, it's on. When it's off, it's off. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do it because it is a necessary evil. You need to get the word out about your product. It's still very effective. But for every dollar you invest in paid media, you could be investing it in influencers. And what I mean by influencers is I'm not talking about spending millions of dollars to hire a Charli D'Amelio or Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is really tapping into, when you're just starting out, it's one thing, but as you grow, you have customers, you have people on your email database. Maybe they abandoned the email cart, but there's potential there. You have followers on social media, you have people that engage with you. And it's really about tapping into these people that already have brand affinity for you. They already have some sort of like, know, and trust, and finding the influencers that are there. So, when I was writing in my book, we have this traditional influencer marketing industry, which I'm not really part of. It's close to like a talent agency business model, right? We'll find you talent, you pay us lots of money. And it's sort of, in the days of TV commercials, it might work because if you have a TV commercial, you're guaranteed something. But with social media, we never know who we are dealing with, right? So let's start by dealing with people that not only we already know, but they know us and they already like us. And, the influencer marketing industry has grown to the point where, in the past, they called someone a micro influencer if you had over 10,000 followers, which to me, there's nothing micro. If you've ever tried to build an Instagram following to 10,000, it is not easy. It does not happen overnight, right? So, but then they realized that was limiting. And I think that, many influencers priced themselves out of the market. So they expanded the pool to nano influencer, meaning over 1,000 followers. And at that level, there's a great tool. Every e-commerce company should be using this tool. It's called Caro. Maybe some of you have already heard of it, Karo. But if you go to getcaro.com, and it used to be free. If you have a Shopify store, they had a free Shopify app. I think they're now making a SaaS, product out of it. But basically, it takes your shopping cart history, it integrates with it. It takes your email database, it takes your Instagram followings, and it basically mixes them all up and says, okay, these are people that are influential that already are on one of these three lists. And, for this e-commerce client of mine, and we did it, we found verified Instagrammers that had over, 6-figure followers that were already customers of the product. They never followed the brand. They never, engaged, but yet they were a customer, and therefore they were someone that we could reach out to, right? So when you start with people that you already know, first of all, you're not trying to sell someone on your company. They already know you. So that would be actually the first place I start. This is, when we're thinking about influencer marketing, we begin with objective, and obviously you want to increase your sales. And then we get into the influencer identification. And to me, I would start with what you could also call internal influencers. They're not necessarily employees, but the next question then is, what do you do with them? But if you start with these people, you now have the basis for a building your own little army of nano influencers. So it's very different than, hey, I'm going to pay you to do SEO, or hey, pay to do SMM. It's more PR, in all honesty. There is some data crunching and finding these people and looking at their profiles and vetting them. But after that, it's going to come down to you doing individual outreach, right? Which is, it does not scale like a paid media does. So, but the thing here though is
PR.
Yeah, but the thing here is that these are the people, especially if they're at that nano level, that can cut through the algorithm. They can get, way more impressions than you can get on your organic social media, right? So it begins with, social media is about organic word of mouth, viral word of mouth. It's not going to happen organically today. It's become pay to play. We're going to continue to do our paid media, but at the same time, we're going to slowly build up this fan base of people that we can activate. And that'll be the focus of what we'll talk about next. But that is where I would start. I think so many, not just e-commerce brands, but brands in general, think of influencer marketing. It's really expensive. I don't know these people. I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. And if you start this way, it's just a natural extension of who you are. And it's truly a community building exercise, but you're building a community with people that are content creators, and they've been able to build their own networks of followings that they're trusted entities out there that you can begin to tap into. We'll talk about the different ways to tap into them next, but I'll stop there for coffee and see if you have any questions. Did all that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's amazing because typically, when you think about influencers, it's something like kind of far away. You need to reach out to people you don't know. They're probably super busy and they have their own audience, and like brands feel they need to chase after someone and really sell themselves too. But what you're saying is no, you have those influencers within your database, within your fans actually, and start building that from there instead of trying to reach out to people that do not have any relation with your brand right now?
Yeah, I mean, I like to give an example of how I promoted my book. So my publisher said the number one thing I can do to promote my book is to get, genuine reviews on Amazon, whether they're good or bad. So I could have placed an ad to do that. But I could also look back at who reviewed my previous book, right? I could look at who else reviews marketing books on Amazon because they're influencers. It's a finite group of people, right? And I go on to LinkedIn. It's like, well, I'm like connected to all these people that have written reviews for similar books, right? Maybe I'll reach out to them. So it's really starting with your home base, starting with people that you already know, and really making impact from that. And then you can move out to people that you don't know. But here's the thing: the more people that you work with, the more word of mouth that gets out there, the more you build your own influence as a brand, and you get to a point where influencers will come to you wanting to work with you because you become an influential brand in social. And that's really where you want to get to. You switch from the outbound to the inbound. And then that outbound group of people that you built, when your paid media ad campaign stops, it's done. These people live on. They talk about your product, forever, really. And if they're creating content like blog posts or YouTube videos, or even, pins on Pinterest, these things have a long lifespan.
Yeah.
And this is something you don't get with paid media. So it's almost like you're mitigating your risk by putting some of your budget in. And you could compare apples to apples. There are ways of tracking if you do affiliate marketing or you offer them codes for commissions, what have you, or you do branded content on Facebook and Instagram, you can track how these posts do and really compare apples and apples. And the influencer marketing ROI stats that I've seen have shown that it's a pretty compelling value proposition for those companies that get it right.
Amazing. Can you share some numbers regarding that?
Yeah, I mean, there have been all sorts of, for every dollar spent, there's like $7, made. You can do I have a post on nealschaffer.com/influencer-marketing-statistics. But if you do a search for that, influencer marketing ROI statistics, there have been a number of studies that have been done over the years. After 11 months, 2 times the ROI of paid media for that purpose, that long-term ROI of working with influencers. And, as we were talking before, there are brands that have had a social first, influencer first approach that have done very well, right? So we know that there are disruptors out there. There are brands that have done well. It's funny because I talk to, a lot of brands. I have my own 2 podcasts, right? Maximize Your Social Influence and the School of Influence. And so many brands, I mean, it's the secret to success is really, leveraging influencers early on. And activating them and really using that to get the word out about the product in lieu of paid media.
So how do you do that, actually? So let's say I have this list of people that were engaged with my brand, to some extent, and I want to start, engaging with them for them to, bring my brand out there. How do I do it? What do I do? How do I motivate them?
So I think it's the same as a loyalty program. Right. So if you've created a loyalty program for your e-commerce shop, my particular client I've been talking about uses Loyalty Lion. There's a number of apps. It's not hard to do, right? If you've done that, that there's a process of, that this vetting process, who gets to apply, what sort of engagement or what sort of purchase history. But then you're going to reach out to them and say, hey, we just created this new loyalty program. We'd love for you to join, and here are the benefits. And I think that what we're trying to do with influencers is something similar. Hey, we're building, call it a brand ambassador program. That's a common, terminology. You could call it a, your brand influencer program. But hey, we're going to create a formalized program to celebrate, our customers and fans. And we'd like to invite you to be part of it. And, all I ask is just for a few minutes of your time on a phone call to get to know more about you and how this program can serve you. Because here's the thing. These aren't paid ad units. You can A/B test influencers in terms of performance, but you're not buying, programmable ad units in the Facebook ad platform. These are people.
Yeah.
And every person has their own different objectives. Some, they're not in it for the money, right? They'd love to talk about your product, right? To be part of the program. Maybe they want to put it on their Instagram bio that they're like an official brand ambassador, right? For some, that title is important. For others, it's more about, hey, can we do affiliate marketing together? For others, it's like, can I interview, your your manufacturing facility and see how you create these lovely bottles. I mean, I don't know, right? But everybody's going to be different. For others, it's like, hey, can you link to my blog, right? For others, it's like, hey, I have a podcast. Can I interview your CEO and founder on my podcast? Whatever it is, once you start reaching out to people, you begin to realize the needs and wants of people. And that's where you begin to create this program. And part of the program is, without a doubt, you don't necessarily have to pay people because you're fans, but shipping free product is usually what happens. And the expectation is, we're going to ship you a free product. We'd love if you can create content around it and give us permission to use that content. Because now you're getting content for your organic social media that's going to outperform your own content. And you're able to tag that one of your fans, so-and-so created it, which is building trust. You're going to be able to use that same creative content in your ad campaigns, in your shopping cart, on your website. And the data shows that when you use user-generated content everywhere, your ads, your shopping cart conversions, everything performs better. So, there's a content amplification side to influencer marketing that normally people think about, but it's the content creation side, content outsourcing side that might even be more valuable. And I believe can give you all the content you need. You don't need to be creating content. Just use content from your, from your fans. And I even met an e-commerce brand in Singapore when I was traveling around the world. I think I wrote about it in The Age of Influence. They were actually creating a training program for their influencers to teach them. They were bringing in like mega influencers and paying them to teach the nano influencers how to take better photos, how to shoot better video, how to write better copy, right? So now, instead of investing in the money that goes to the stockholders of Facebook or Twitter, you're now investing in people. You're investing in relationships, and you're investing in collaborations. And from that, the next time you come up with a new product, you already have people that are ready, right, to talk about that new product. If you wanted to do an event, you have people that are going to come and help promote that event. And now you have your own user focus group, because these people have their ear on the ground. They have their finger on the pulse of what's going on in terms of your competitors or how people resonate with your products. You now have a really invaluable source of information and data that you can tap into at any time. So, what begins as, well, when do I start influencer marketing? To me, it's you have to be doing it. There's so many benefits. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you trying to create deeper relationships with your fans, with your customers? Not everyone's going to convert. Not everyone's going to be interested. That's fine. But I guarantee you, if you genuinely say, "Hey, we want to celebrate you. We want to showcase your content on our feeds," right? Most people, that makes them feel pretty special, especially the free product. Hey, we have an affiliate program, but we're going to give you 2x, or hey, just use this code and we'll give you 50%. I mean, whatever it is, right? What kills me is when brands reach out to influencers and they go, hey, we'll give you $25 Amazon gift card. And the influencer may be going, that does nothing for me, right? Or maybe this other brand has already given me a $250 Amazon gift card. I am now no longer ever going to buy your product again, because that is like a slap in the face when you try to lowball me, which most brands try to do when they reach out to influencers, right? Or they assume that I want an Amazon gift card when that's not what I want, right? So it happens because of these just assumptions that people have, that influencers are just in it for the money. Oh, they only have 1,000 followers, 25, whatever it is. These are people. It's an art, right? So, I find that PR people actually do better than marketers here, because they know it's all about the relationships. They know they need to customize and personalize everything they do to everyone they talk to. And this is so marketers, if you take a one-to-many approach, you're not reaching out to 500 blogs asking for a link with a template and then emailing back 3 days later. By the way, if I reply to those and I still get that automated email after I reply, I put you what's called the sane black hole. I use a tool called SaneBox, and I never see your email again, right? And I've had brands like, oh, we have affiliate marketing. It's like, well, I can sign up for that myself. I don't do affiliate marketing. It's free advertising for you if I don't know the brand, right? So there's a lot of mistakes that brands make here. It's common sense. You're trying to make friends, right? And you're making friends with content creators, people that have communities. Don't lowball them. Don't assume. Have a conversation. Make them feel good. Always think of the acronym called WIIFM. Do you know what that means, Rakefet? I have a sales background. It's what's in it for me. If you cannot understand the incentive for people to come along your program, they're not going to come along. You need to offer them incentive first. I'm dealing with a global Japanese company, and we're trying to set up an employee influencer. I call them employee influence, not employee advocacy. And if you have a lot of employees, these might also be influencers as well. But why would employees want to join? And this is why most of these programs fail, because they haven't offered employees incentive. Well, we're gonna teach you how to take better photos. We're gonna teach you how to shoot better videos. We're gonna bring in a personal branding expert and teach you how to become better. These are like, for the digital people of today, these are lifelong skills. These are serious investments, right? And knowing that by doing this, your employees are going to perform better in social media. And it's the exact same thing with influencers. So if you have an employee advocacy program, you should open it up to influencers. If you have an influencer program, I would open up to my employees as well. I would have it all inclusive, anybody who likes, knows, and trusts the brand. And I've seen, since publishing The Age of Influence, we started to see, I talked to a lot of agencies, like, now we're building an in-house program for a brand. They don't want to leverage our agency to find influencers. They want us to help them identify their fans and create this sort of long-term program. So just as I think a lot of brands are taking marketing in-house using, platforms like Mayple, I think with influencer marketing as well, they're not reaching out to these talent agencies as much anymore. They're really trying to connect with their own fans and customers and creating this sort of brand ambassador program.
Yeah. Isn't there a scalability challenge there? Because, as you said, those are people. And if you really want to engage with them, for each one has, different motivations, different incentives that might drive them into engaging with your brand and actually creating that content. It's not, simple. And I think sometimes for brands, it looks a little bit complicated to do that. And how scalable is it for me as a brand of, 20 people within the company, trying to figure out everything about marketing, and now I have this influencer marketing kind of program I need to run, and it looks like, can it scale?
Oh, it definitely can scale, because I know I speak Japanese there. It scales as at the beginning, there's the influencer identification piece, right? That's going to take some time. And then there's the individual outreach at the beginning. But once they're part of your program, then maybe it's a monthly Zoom, where you keep all your influencers in touch, right? And you could have a dedicated resource for it, but maybe I think at the beginning, it's the onboarding and the identification that takes time, and after that, it does scale. And here's the thing, right? I mean, I've been an influencer. I was a brand ambassador for All Nippon Airways 5 years ago, and I still talk about them. Right. I still recall how we got to visit the Tokyo airport maintenance facility and interview the engineers that were maintaining at the time the first 787s in the world. These are unique experiences that people do remember. That's another thing. If you can offer those unique experiences, even better. I know with coronavirus, it gets a little bit harder, but that's the whole thing, is that that's why the ROI is long-term. That's why, at the beginning, you want to get it right, because after that, it does scale, and it's very long-term. And with every piece of content, because an influencer, the heart of it is creating content in some shape or form, that's where you get that long-term ROI, and that's where it scales. And then you have influencers saying, hey, my bud, Mary or Justin, they're also big fans. We were just talking about you. She's a nano influencer. She has like 2,500 followers on TikTok. I don't know. Can she apply for the program, right? So now your influencers help recruit people as well. And I'm not talking about like some pyramid scheme or anything, right? You want to vet these people, but that's how it scales. And I think at the beginning it doesn't. The other way it scales is now, instead of paid media for paid media's sake, you use paid media to boost branded content that your influencers have created, right? Yeah. Which makes them feel special. And you might find that you just get better performance for that. So over time, I know it's hard to believe, over time it definitely does scale, and it will become this. I believe in, when we get to digital marketing and we look at the different things we can be doing, I break it down into 6 things, right? You got your website / app, you got your SEO, PPC, you have your email marketing automation, you have your content creation, blogging, lead magnets, and, white papers, or, what have you there, that content. You have the social media, organic and paid. And then you have this 6th one, which is the influencer marketing. I do believe over time, what you'll find is you'll start shifting. I think there was a shift of like SEO budgets into social media back in the day. And I think you're going to see another shift of this paid social media into this influencer marketing program. And the outputs are going to be content, and how you track these partnerships you have and measure the ROI that way.
Okay. What would be, the best tip you can give an e-commerce brand that, is looking to scale on, how to start and how to use influencer marketing? any tip you think would be, the most important thing for them to know?
Yeah, I mean, invest in people, right? It's all about relationships, and the better and deeper relationship you can develop with that individual influencer, that's where you get the highest ROI. So at the beginning, it doesn't scale, but guess what? Think about the first time you did a Facebook ad. I mean, getting to know Facebook Ad Manager and doing all those different testings and building up the pixel. And at the beginning, it's hard work. And I think with any new marketing channel at the beginning, there is a little bit of investment. But remember, the investment's in people, right? They're in like customers and followers and fans. It's a good investment to make. And really just keep an open mind, right? It's all about you are now trying to serve them, because at the end of the day, they're going to serve you. So find ways to invest in them. I think once you start to reach out to a dozen, 2 dozen people, you're going to find patterns in terms of the way that people like to engage, so that in the future, you're going to say, hey, we normally work with people in these 3 ways. Do any of these appeal to you? And then, that's how it gets easier. And then you have data and you have experience and what have you. So you got to get started somewhere. Get started today.
Cool. It's quite amazing that I see patterns in, my conversations on those shows until today. And while we speak a lot about data, which definitely, also a thing that to look at when talking about influencer marketing, but kind of the combination between data and people, which kind of sometimes look contradictive in some way, because people are, people, everyone is special, and it's kind of very hard to put them into data. But when looking about those 2 areas of marketing today, definitely the combination of very good data and knowledge with a very people-centric approach of your customers and your fans and your ambassadors is kind of the perfect combination, I would say.
Yes, it's people-centric on the front end, big data on the back end. Because what's going to happen is, if you have 20 influencers you're engaging with that are creating content, that are using UTM parameters to drive traffic back to your website, it's the 80-20 rule. Probably of those 20, 4 or so are going to generate 80% of the traffic. And those are the ones you want to go even deeper on. The others you can keep, in the system, but you can have, this is an annual program, and we're gonna see how you perform. And maybe you drop some of them into a lesser program, and this is where you recruit new people. So this is the A/B testing of influencers, right? You need to do it in a way that doesn't, for the ones that underperform, you could just not renew the contract. Say, hey, we decided to do something different with the program. And I think they understand as well. Hey, you're more than happy. Let's take a 1-year break, and then next year we'll reach out to you, or whatever it is. But that's where you use the data to analyze, and that's where you find your true stars. That maybe you get to a point where it's like, wow, this person single-handedly generates so much activity and so much business that we want to create a product in his or her name. And that's when it gets really interesting, I think. But until you get there, you're gonna have to crunch a lot of data and develop a lot of relationships.
Great. Neal, this was fascinating, really. And I think one of the hottest topics, I would say, e-commerce brands are thinking of today. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. And good luck, everybody.
Great. Thank you.